Hi friends, I'm Jeffrey Rickman. I'm the pastor here at First United Methodist Church here in Nowata. And in COVID times, we got this nice audiovisual setup, and we decided it needs to be used not just on Sunday mornings, but midweek we can use it to build up our community here in Nowata. And we have a number of good things going on, a lot of people trying to make this community a better place. And today I'm very proud to present Brynn, Barron, and Leonard Thomas of Boys and Girls Club Nowata, so we can learn a bit about what they're up to in this context and see the excitement going on there, the good things that they're doing, and we always close with figuring out how we can support local people and organizations. So I'd invite you to spend a few minutes with us today, and probably a lot of you know Brynn and Leonard. They've been around for a while and they're very engaged in the community, but if you don't, I got just a brief bio on each. Brynn is the coordinator of Nowata Boys and Girls Club. She oversees all their programs, carrying the authority of the group and reporting to our local board. She began work with them in 2019, and before her leadership with the Boys and Girls Club, she founded and ran the Endowment Committee for Oklahoma Union Public Schools, and this was after leading our local Nowata Community Advancement Network. So Nowata CAN is another good organization that is doing a lot of good. Brynn has a background in education and engagement with people struggling with issues around generational poverty, so we're very blessed to have her. And then Leonard is the director of teens here at Nowata Boys and Girls Club. He oversees all team programming. He has been in this organization for about 6 years. He started here in Nowata as a youth development professional and then became the director of teens, and after that he took a position at Chelsea Boys and Girls Club as a director of operations, and then 2 years later he returned to Nowata to serve the youth here, working to help them become productive and responsible citizens. And of course that's the task that the whole organization's involved in. If you follow them on Facebook like me, and if you don't, you should, you've seen a lot of pictures. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of activity going on this summer. I was telling him before the interview, it stresses me out to think about all that programming, but it's very impressive what you guys have got going on. So if you wouldn't mind, Leonard is going to speak primarily to the teens, and then Brynn is going to speak for the organization as a whole, but also for the children. It's separated into children and teens. So I want to hear, and I'm sure everybody on here wants to hear, what programs the Boys and Girls Club is offering this summer.
Okay. We started our summer program June the 7th, and it's an 8-week program. We're open 10 hours a day, 7:30 to 5:30. We've got about 160 kids signed up for our summer program. During that time, we're really focusing in the morning at the youth side on summer brain gain, or what we call Project Learn. And so it's educational enrichment. So it's learning, but it feels like fun. And so we have a different theme each week. The first week was around the world, and so each classroom had a theme of a country, and they learned about that. This week is different. Every week is a little bit different, and so they're doing different things. This week was Master Chef, so we've done field trips to the farmers market, and we went to Tri-County Tech and did some cooking, and they've prepared their own food, and so we just try to make it fun, but it's learning too. And then of course we have a lot of traditional BGCA learning opportunities like TRAIL, which stands for Together Raising Awareness for Indian Lifestyles. We are a Native club, and so over 60% of our kids identify as Native American, and along with that comes some health issues like diabetes, heart disease, and so TRAIL encourages kids to be physically active and eat healthy foods. We also do a program called Smart Moves, which is decision making and prevention for negative behaviors. We try to fit a lot of things into our day. They go swimming 3 times a week, the big kids do, and 2 times a week for the little kids. And so lots of programming, but lots of fun too. And the teens are doing all kinds of things.
Yeah, tell us about what the teens are doing this summer learning.
So we're kind of the same way with the little youth center, but we have summer brain gain for 12 and up. So they're learning the same, keeping their knowledge going for school years. We have Passport to Manhood. It's for all boys. It helps them become more of a responsible man and respectable man, and teaches them how to be responsible, We have Smart Girls for the girls, same thing, just for girls. We have, our theme is a different country every week this summer. So the kids learn about the country, and they also prepare a meal that represents that country. So they're learning about the country and also how to cook at the same time.
Right, I saw the French toast, the gourmet French toast for French Week.
Yep.
And then Brynn was telling me about the cuisine that y'all are going to end on. Afghani?
Yeah, that was Brynn's choice.
He just said, pick a country, name a country, and I was like, Afghanistan, and he just looked at me like, oh, come on.
So we went with it.
You know,
No, it'll be
it's a
great.
good-
Honestly,
yeah.
I went to an Afghanistani restaurant one time, and I thought I thought it'd be like dirt. I guess I'm just. Anyway, it was amazing cuisine. It was really, really good.
You might help me with that one day. I don't know what to prepare.
Well, no, I'm very good at eating it, not preparing it.
Gotcha.
The kids are good at eating it too. They'll pretty much eat anything. And having a hand in cooking it is so fun for them. Leonard does an awesome job.
Yeah. Yeah, it stresses me out to look. I'm so glad I'm not in charge of that. So thank you for doing that. Well, and with children and youth and teens, one of the things that I've heard a number of people know is that generally people are not as equipped in the kitchen as once upon a time was expected. So to help them fall in love with that and get excited about that is a wonderful thing. So. I want to encourage you, if you're online with us, we're covering a lot of details. There's a lot of terminology that you guys are using that I don't really know, and there's context clues, and I can fit it together.
Yeah.
But if you want to know any more about the details or something that they bring up, we want you to comment and ask questions. We are going to have a time where we look at our comments and see what questions need to get answered for the community. So go ahead and do that. I wanted to be explicit about this. Summer programming, is it closed enrollment or is it open still for the summer?
It's open for the teens.
Okay.
And it's closed for the youth. We
Okay.
are at capacity. We have a wait list, and
You
I
said
have been
youth,
able.
but you mean children.
I mean, so
Okay.
when I say youth, we call it a youth site and a teen site. So for the youth site, it's 5 to 11, or children. You can
Yeah.
call it children too.
I can
It's at
call
the
it children.
elementary
Okay,
school.
But y'all, the
But we call it
terminology
youth
for y'all
site.
is youth.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
In church speak, youth is teens. So that's where the confusion is for me. But
Yeah.
okay, so the children/youth closed enrollment for summer.
right.
But for Teen Center, I'm surprised to hear this honestly, because how many teens did you have on first day?
First day I had 45 teens.
45 teens.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the facility they're in, I mean that's
That's a
packed.
lot.
It's a
That's
tight, yeah.
packed.
I mean it probably smells so awful in there that you got that teenager smell.
A
You know,
little
It's
bit.
true.
Hey, don't count us out on that. We got a little funk.
Well, and for people who aren't in this sphere, one of the things I was surprised to learn was you're seeing more engagement and involvement numerically than the Bartlesville Boys and Girls Club. And that's not dogging Bartlesville, but it is very impressive that we have that level. And I've been in the Teen Center and the Boys and Girls Club in years past, and we haven't seen that level of, and it's not that we were doing poorly before, but you're doing very well right now. So I don't know that a lot of people would know that just from hearing some of these numbers, but it's very impressive what you're doing. So is there a point at which y'all would cut off enrollment for the Teen Center?
Yes.
What's that point?
I would say at 60 I would cut it off.
60, all right. So if you have a local teen that you want to invest involved in this, you should probably move pretty quick.
Yeah. One of the nice things about the Teen Center that makes it slightly different is they come and go a little bit more. You know, they may come for a couple of hours and then go, where the children are usually there for the entire time. So it gives a little bit more flexibility. But I do want to just say the reason for that growth is Leonard. He's so good with the kids. He's fun, but he also demands respect. And so kids respond to that. They want to feel safe, but they also want to have fun, and that's really what he does. And he's got a good group with him as well.
For sure, yeah, that's good stuff.
The thing in particular that I'm very glad to hear about, I'm not sure I knew it before, was the gender-specific programming you have going on around helping young men grow up to be good men, and then young women also. To have good role models is not something that we can take for granted. So to know that you guys are conscientiously offering that to teens is encouraging. Keep up the good work. Let's talk about your facilities right now, because you're in a state of flux. Give a history of y'all were operating out of the middle school. We're in a middle place, and then we're aiming somewhere. So tell us about that, and then we should have some overlays on the live stream of some of the plans written up for the new facility. We went and took some aerial footage from a drone yesterday. And we'll give that all to you guys later, of course. But yeah, go ahead and give us that history, where we are, where we're aiming at.
So previously, the Boys and Girls Club was located in the original Nowata High School, which then turned into a middle school and then was just the Boys and Girls Club. So it was built in the early 1900s, and it had really fallen into disrepair. It was a beautiful building at one time, but it was a 3-story building, and the 2 top stories had a lot of water damage, which then, trickled down to the bottom level, which is where we were located. And so the whole community understood that that was a huge problem for the club and that it needed to be repaired and remedied, and repairing it just was out of the question. And so right now we are housed at the elementary school, the youth site. The children are at the elementary school. The teens are at the teen center still, which is across from the library. And we are officing out of the First Christian Church. So we're in a lot of locations as we look towards our new building. And so
and it's worth highlighting, not only is First Christian Church supporting y'all in that way, but the Teen Center operates out of the old Nazarene Church.
That's right. Yeah.
So
lots of churches in town support us. We get donations monthly from churches. Churches have given us donations for our backpack program, just for our youth program. I mean, I almost can't name a church in town that hasn't been supportive of our club over the years.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So where we are right now is between these 2 facilities, but where we're aiming at is?
The hope is that the new facility will open May of next year. It's been slowed down for a variety of reasons, COVID and weather, but they are moving along right now, and they're moving along at a pretty good clip, which I hope that you'll see in the drone footage. It's going to be a 22,000 square foot building that is in partnership with Tri-County Tech. And so it will house education space for both Tri-County and the Boys and Girls Club, a commercial kitchen, a great, beautiful new gym, some outdoor classroom space. I mean, it's just going to be a fantastic community center for Nowata.
What are you excited about with the new facility, Leonard?
I'm excited about a new space for the teens. I'm excited about the Fab Lab, that they get to experience different opportunities and hands-on, and they get to get the college experience in Nowata.
Is Fab short for fabulous?
Fabrication.
Fabrication.
Okay.
Fabrication.
That's a good
Yeah.
thing to know.
Yeah.
The fabulous fabrication lab.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The teen center will be combined into one building, and so the teens will have their own space.
Sure.
But we'll all be in one building, which is also going to be really cool. It's just going to be this leveling of young kids to middle-aged kids to adults, and getting that exposure to trade and technical school and furthering their education with Tri-County. And it's just, everyone is thrilled about it. We're so excited.
So there is a formal connection between Boys and Girls Club and Tri-County Tech.
Yes.
And how is that? Well, on the front end, it's working and building this facility together.
Right.
But with implementation, how is Tri-County Tech going to continue to be involved in the facility?
So they'll have office space there. They will have a fabrication lab. They'll have some business incubator opportunities for local people. They'll have some night classes for adults and kids to further their education or to get interested in what Tri-County has to offer in Bartlesville. And it's going to be, pretty cool opportunity for our youth. So while Jeffrey's out talking, tell them about what you think the teens will mostly get out of that.
I think the teens will like the new space because we'll have a computer lab. They'll get like I said before, the Fab Labs. It's just going to be a new spot to hang out in.
Yeah, a computer lab is something we really haven't had with up to date, all of the equipment, and Tri-County's been really helpful with that too. Another thing that we can talk about while Jeffrey's out is we just got a grant from Humana, which is, we were one of 10 locations across the nation that were chosen for a community garden. So it will be at the site. It's a $60,000 grant, and it's going to be an awesome chance for kids to grow food, pick food, and then prepare it in the commercial kitchen. So that's something that maybe a lot of people don't even know about yet. I think the teens and the kids will both really enjoy that. Yeah. I was talking about the Humana grant. I don't know if you even know about that, but
I've heard the word Humana said on NPR.
Okay.
But that's the only time. That's the only time I've heard of it. But very good for you guys. And I overheard some of that.
Yeah.
We had a rare instance of somebody stopping in that we don't know, saying, "Here, have some money."
Oh.
So I always love when that happens.
Yeah.
So
Can't say no to that.
well, let's talk about your staff, because an organization is really only as good as its people. The facility is great, but really the kind of quality people you have working with you. I'm overwhelmed by the number of people I've seen in your pictures for this summer. Could you talk a little bit about who you have working with you day to day? Lift up anybody that you think is just a good representative of your organization, and then just what makes you proud about your staff.
Okay. I'll start by saying we have 5 full-time staff, and of course Leonard and I are both part of that. I completely trust him to run the teen center, and he does a great job. Bonnie Pruitt has been with the Boys and Girls Club for years, and she's an amazing piece of the puzzle. She does all the financial stuff, pays all the bills, takes care of lots of grant reporting. We really couldn't do it without her. We have 2 full-time staff that deal with grants specifically from the Boys and Girls Club of America. So one runs the trail program, that's Tammy LaFleur, and one runs the mentoring program, and that's Megan Malone. We also have been so blessed by Cherokee Nation. I just cannot, that is why you see so many people in our pictures. They do a program called Summer Youth Employment Program, and they pay Cherokee citizens to work for us. And I can hire however many I need. And so if you can imagine, I have 12 people working for me that I do not have to pay, but who are fantastic employees.
Wow.
And we also are partnered with Grand Lake Mental Health, and they have a full-time behavioral health specialist at each of our buildings that work full-time. And this year we've partnered with AmeriCorps, and we have a full-time young lady working for us in the kitchen through AmeriCorps. And we also are working with the Workforce Development Board, and so we have 2 people that they're paying to work for us, and we're giving them job experience so that they can maybe
Where are they
on.
based out of?
Bartlesville.
And so this is just people that need employment skills and ability
Exactly.
and references.
That's right.
And okay.
And so they work 40 hours a week for us. They get paid by Workforce Development.
Did they contact you, or did you have somebody smart enough to contact them?
I think maybe Leonard
I got
contacted
in
them.
contact with them. Yeah.
So smart.
Yeah. It's so great to have all of those partners, because it means I have a staff of 30 and I'm paying 6. So it's
That's
awesome.
really impressive.
Yeah.
It's
That's
awesome.
really impressive.
Yeah.
Now, how much of that is going to hold over after summer programming back into regular?
So we'll have to reapply to do that with Workforce Development and AmeriCorps.
Okay.
Cherokee Nation continued that summer youth employment program during COVID times. I don't know yet if they will do that in the school year coming up. They always do it in the summer, but they extended it last year, and I've got my fingers crossed that they're going to extend it again, because it changes our program dramatically when we have that many kids. And I just have to have a shout out to 8 of the kids working for us right now are valedictorians. So you know they're driven, you know that they're capable, and they're working really hard with the kids.
Yeah, this isn't some phone it in job for teenagers,
No,
because the
no.
Boys and Girls Club is desperate to.
Well,
this is high quality.
Yeah.
For sure.
And if you want to work at the club, you're signing up for something different than, just taking a drink to somebody. It's hard work, but
Sure.
it's rewarding.
You have
so.
to have the passion for it, to work with kids.
Yeah.
To have that passion and the drive to actually take the time and spend it with the kids.
Well, the staff over at the Teen Center, I assume equal quality, but what would you say about them?
For sure. I have one, which is Josiah Clark, for sure. He was my Keystone president, which is a leadership club at the Boys and Girls Club. So I've known him for like years upon years, because he went through the club, and now he's working for the club through Workforce. And then I have Emily Bell. She's through Cherokee Nation. She's great. And then I have Amber, which is Grand Lake. And she comes and helps with the kids, and they're all terrific staff. And you can ask for anybody.
So 2 males, 2 females. That's
Nice.
great.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great balance.
Yeah.
You guys are heavily outnumbered.
For sure.
Okay.
But we
I
can
do
handle
have-
it.
Yeah, and I had some great guys. It is nice to have young men working for you, because the boys, they love it. They eat it up. And the
Sure.
girls too. It's nice to have
Well, just typically with schools, what you see, with a lot of nonprofits, what you see is just hardly any men involved whatsoever.
Right.
And so it's a rare and good thing. It once was a more common thing for men to be involved in the inculcation of young people, and then that's a social shift that's happened that's really not been good, especially for young men who need that model. So God bless you and Josiah. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's great.
Anything else to be said about staff?
Well, I want to say Brynn has been doing a great job as the CEO. She gets out there and she runs for it, and she does a really good job, and I'm thankful to work up under her.
Well, and it's worth pointing out I'm going to try not to say this from a selfish place, but the primary leader of any organization is going to catch the most flack.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when they serve under a board. You get it from below with average individual people coming at you with complaints, but then also anything that gets to the board, they come back at you as well usually. And I think you have a really supportive board.
I have a really supportive board.
But just the nature of the job is anything that goes wrong, the buck usually stops with you, with exceptions, of course. So it's worth, even if someone is a poor leader, having sympathy and pity for that. But when they're a high quality leader like Brynn, you'd like to think that everybody is appreciative and nobody gives her flack. Right. But that's not the nature of people in general and Americans in particular. So it's just good to highlight. I'm glad you brought that up about Brynn. So.
Great.
Me too.
Let's talk about the context of Nowata. Boys and Girls Clubs were formed with an intention. There's a mission. You talked about inculcating children with good skills to be good and responsible citizens. There are challenges that are particular to Nowata. There are challenges just to working with youth in America in 2021. Let's start with just the general picture working with youth and children. What are the challenges that just everybody's dealing with right now across our nation and maybe across the world?
I think one of the most obvious challenges for me is how much screen time kids get right now. Really, we don't allow phones or tablets at the youth site because it's so distracting. And it's an opportunity for them to play with their friends and learn things. But really, the first couple of weeks is like a detox period. I mean, they're so used to constantly being entertained that it's a little bit of I think that's a huge challenge for everyone across the board, teaching and education and Boys and Girls Clubs too.
So is that a problem that's acknowledged among pretty much all people working in this field?
I think so. Do you agree?
Yes,
yeah.
I do agree. Yeah.
I mean, you can see it even with adults. If they're bored for 2 seconds, they pick their phone up. And so I really think that's changed the nature of learning somewhat. You know, that constant stimulation and constant entertainment is hard to compete with.
So within the religious world, there's a popular series named VeggieTales. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it.
Sure.
And it's very entertaining. It's like Sesame Street. They aim at passing along biblical knowledge and values and making it. But one of the founders that did VeggieTales ended up retracting his support of it and saying he regretted making it because it essentially conditioned children not to engage their faith unless it's entertaining.
Yeah.
And there is something to be said. When Sesame Street came out, it was really liked, but it had a big impact on education, where educators felt a burden they hadn't before to make education entertaining.
Yeah.
And then whenever Westerners, Americans go abroad to do mission projects in developing nations, a lot of times we'll host like VBS program, Vacation Bible School programs that are really entertaining and stuff, and we'll bring all these kids in. But then the church that was there is left and they're not entertaining and they don't have the resources that Western churches do. And what we find is we set the standards so high that can't be maintained. And the nature of knowledge is it's a huge front-end investment and there's only so much you can do to make it fun. And if you haven't equipped children to do that hard work up front, well, they don't become adults that know how to do it. Yeah. So that sounds like a real concern. In knowing our context of Nowata, it seems to me that a lot of people really don't know the threat that screens have for psychological development, personal development. I was a mentor for a little bit over at Boys and Girls Club, and I remember some of the kids I talked to talked about how much their parents were on their own phones. Yep. So in the context of Nowata, do you agree that this is a problem that's affecting not just children but adults and maybe the social fabric? Is it that big a deal, or is it just an annoyance that really it doesn't have to be a thing that we address too much?
I think it's affecting adults too. It's not just the kids, it's going up to the adults and the kids see the adults. So they think it's fine, so they might as well do it too.
Yeah. Is it a sort of thing where you think adults generally manage it well, but kids just can't? Or do you think that adults in general are kind of failing in some basic ways as well because of this tendency?
I think they're kind of failing too.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and we talked beforehand. We want this to be a positive interview. We're not dumping on Nowata at all. And, honestly, I mean, this was not particular to Nowata. This is something
No.
that's impacting all people everywhere. We're radically socializing our children and being we like to think that adults are set in stone. We've been developed how we're going to, and you can't screw it up. But this last year has shown, just 1 year of isolating people in their homes. Depression and anxiety is up to here. And when it comes time to take the mask off, when it comes time to re-engage, a lot of people just cannot because they have those social muscles. They're like a muscle, and they can atrophy, and then it takes work to have that personal energy to re-engage. And so I think it's wonderful what you've done with these kids, just saying, nope, detox period, you're going to learn to use these muscles.
Yeah. And they love it. Once they get used to it, I really truly have not had a single kid say, I want my phone, or I need my phone back, or whatever. They're playing with their friends, they're having fun, they're going swimming, they're going on field trips, and I think it's a much healthier way to have a summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Other issues that are not particular to Nowata that just are just a struggle or a challenge in working with children and youth today?
I would say my struggle at the teen center is getting more male figures to come in with the boys and spend time with them, because a lot of boys are missing that fatherly figure. So the more males we can get will be better for the boys, because they need somebody to look up that's positive and a good role model to look up to.
Right. Yeah, and it's kind of a fraught topic right now, because if y'all disagree with the way I set this up, you're just fine correcting me. But my understanding of where we are is we had a big movement to make life for single mothers easier in America. And a lot of that was federal policy, subsidizing households without a father figure. But it kind of created this nasty cycle in some places where it's actually more beneficial not to have a man in the home sometimes financially. But also, as divorce has become more normalized, it's just harder to stick together because there are a lot of incentives for men to step out. So there are a lot of men who don't enjoy the burden and responsibility that comes with fatherhood and marriage. And there are a lot of mothers, women, that just get fed up with the men that they've got in their lives. And it's just really hard. It's harder than it used to be, I think, for men and women to stick together. And then you also have women entering the workplace more and more, and predominating in certain fields that deal more with children. And as more awareness of sexual misbehavior of adults with children, and the adults typically are male, we've almost learned to look at men who work with children with suspicion. So it really is a difficult thing to say, nope, we need men dealing with children. We're going to provide a safe place to do that. But when you look at some of the demographic information coming up about girls and boys brought up in households without a male figure, it correlates very directly with crime, with risky sexual behavior, with drug use, with anxiety and depression. It's one of the most important social trends that we can push back against. To say, nope, we need responsible, mature men modeling that for children and just letting kids bounce off of them. And we don't understand all the science around this right now, but we have to be able to say, you know what, if you don't have a dad in the household, you're just fine, your mom is just fine, God bless her, but ideally there is a man in every household for psychological development. And that's a hard line to walk, So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox right now. But that's something I think a lot of people really don't think through. They just have their knee-jerk reaction, and so that's why I get into it. Not a lot of people are very thoughtful about, and when you've had bad experiences with men, which a lot of people have, it's just hard to imagine what this could or should be like. So if you want to know more, call Leonard. He'll tell you better.
Yeah. we're always looking. COVID slowed us down on any kind of mentoring because we didn't want anyone in the building who wasn't staff, just to keep it as safe as possible. But this year going forward, we will be looking for mentors, both men and women. But men are maybe a little bit harder to find, and so it's awesome to have them there. Just playing ping pong or basketball or, going on a walk. I mean, we don't have any one-on-one situations, and we do a background check on everyone for safety reasons. But having those strong male role models around is beneficial for our kids, for sure.
Yeah, last time I was there, I saw Chief McElhaney playing with
Oh, and the
couple of
kids
boys.
just eat it up.
Oh, yeah,
they
of course.
love it,
Yeah.
Like, Chief, come play with me, and
Yeah.
he did a great job.
That's
He
wonderful.
had to stop with COVID, but we're hoping that he'll come back, and,
Sure.
and some others as well.
Sure, that's great. That's great. Let's talk about the context of Nowata, because Nowata in some ways is very much like other places, but there are specific challenges to Nowata. Is there anything about our town that you think maybe people sitting at home on their computers might not know about, but that are particular to our town?
I don't know that I think Nowata is so unusual or out of the ordinary. I actually see Nowata as an awesome, like a hidden gem. I really do. I think there's a lot of resources here. I think there's a lot of community support for the Boys and Girls Club, both through individuals and small groups and churches. When I talk to bigger Boys and Girls Club CEOs, they sometimes struggle finding people to support their projects, but I have not found that at all. The local lumber store or the grocery store, or most people are very supportive. They know how important the club is to our community. I'm not sure that I think Nowata stands out in any way. Of course, we have generational poverty. Of course, we do. Most small towns do. Of course, we have some food insecurity issues, but I don't see it as out of the ordinary.
Yeah, we're not
across the board.
exceptionally
I don't
dealing
think
with
so.
these. And you agree with all that?
For sure.
Yeah, so whenever I first came, I've been here 6 years. Whenever I first came, I talked to a lot of people, and there were a lot of people who thought Nowata County is the poorest county of all the counties of Oklahoma. And that's not true.
It's not true.
A lot of people seem to think that Nowata was exceptional in some of the bad things it has going for it. And in my 6 years here, I've lived in Idaho, I've lived in Massachusetts, I lived in Arkansas. One has a tendency of finding one's own hometown exceptional and remarkable. And, I love the Ironmen. There are things particular to Nowata, but when you're dealing with substantial issues that are holding Nowata back, there really aren't any.
No.
There's no reason why Nowata is particularly disadvantaged in relation to other communities. And, we're sitting down after I've done an interview with the Splash Pad,
Right.
with Nowata Beautification. I got a number of other organizations that are doing good work. There are a lot of people here doing really good work. And there's always setbacks, but that's kind of the nature of life, really. It's not the nature of Nowata. So I actually think that's a really encouraging thing to share.
Yeah, I think there's lots of momentum going.
there is.
I think there's good things happening across the community.
The teens love going down and seeing all the artwork and all the paintings on the buildings.
Isn't that cool?
It's awesome, yes.
Isn't that cool?
It really is.
I do wonder if, I think our average population around here is like 33 to 3,500 people. I wonder how many towns this size have artists of the quality that we have. I actually do think we should brag on that more.
I do too. It's amazing.
Well, so we've got 3,300 people living in Nowata. Some of them are out and about engaging with other people. A lot are just in their homes. You guys are dealing with the public from your angle. You see a lot that a lot of people don't see. If we are trying to create a town where people are good citizens and they're engaged and they know and love their town, is there anything about Nowata that you think is important just for average people to know?
So I lived in Tulsa for 15 years, and my husband and I kind of on a whim moved to the country and wound up in Nowata County, and we could not be more grateful, honestly. So my take on it is that it's a community that is a great place to raise your kids. It's a great place to live. And I think we need to support the things that are going on that are good. We need to go to Pioneer Days, and we need to go see the artwork that's going on downtown, and we need to donate money to the groups and organizations that benefit our kids and our families. But I think it's I think it's a good place to be.
I grew up in Michigan, and being in Michigan to Nowata is a big difference. Like, people here are so much nicer and respectful and just so sweet. It's like a big family. It's like a community of family. Being in Michigan, you had to deal with rude people, and it was just rough. But being here I'm grateful to be here and of all the people in the town.
My wife and I have sat down several times, especially over the last year, just saying we're so glad we don't live anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know, there are problems here,
Sure.
but the problems of big cities are very different.
Oh, yeah.
My folks live in Tulsa. We drive there once a month and we feel like we're going to Mars now. You know, like small town life, even though it's complicated by a number of the ways that technology and modern life comes in, it's still simpler, more organic, more personal. You know, when you say it feels like a big family, yeah, you know your neighbors,
Right.
sort of.
Yeah.
You know, not like you used to. I used to have a guy, you remember Bill Maddox, he talked about how he would have parties at his house every Friday night and the whole neighborhood would come out. You know, nowadays there are a lot of people that do hide in their homes. They don't socially engage. And that's not particular to Nowata. But here in Nowata, there are a lot of households like that. And I personally, I think you guys too, want to see a future where people are more engaged in the community. They know their neighbors more. They socialize more. And so I think it's great that we hit right on the front end this technology thing because it really does have a big impact socially on people. Sure. We talked about things that would be good for the community to know, and what I heard you say is we really have a good community. And I think you don't know what you have sometimes. You work with a lot of parents, probably a couple hundred parents. Are there things that you think parents in general don't know that would be really helpful for them to know in working with their own kids or knowing how to support other parents and families in the community?
To me, I would say with the teens, to listen to the teens, they have a voice, just to hear them out sometimes. Sometimes parents just kind of ignore them and shove them to the side, kind of. But I think if you listen to the kids, it can be resolved in a lot better way by listening to your teen.
I think maybe just a personal issue of mine, but over the years there was this push that it wasn't quantity of time, it's quality of time. So you just spend 15 quality minutes with your child and that's going to be really the best thing that you can do for them, and I completely disagree, 100%. I don't think you have to spend 24 hours entertaining your child, but I just think the simple things are what they want to do. Have a meal together, go on a walk together, sit down and watch a show together, put your phone down, and give them as much quantity of time as you can. I think that's what kids crave.
Yeah, there's definitely clear overlap between what both of you were saying. And I think it bears just a minute or two more of our time. What do you think it is about parents that makes it so that you have to say this? The implication is that parents really aren't giving their children the time or attention that they're needed. Is it as simple as phones are just taking that time up, phones and TV and stuff, or is it more than that?
I just think it's the working life. They get too busy, caught up in work, and they don't get the simple things. Like she said, is just sit down to eat dinner together. Just set that time to have family time and just make it happen.
Yeah, it probably is pretty rare that families sit down over a meal anymore, right?
Yeah.
So my assumption has been that a lot of the children that you're dealing with, though, have parents that are not full-time employed and busy.
True.
I think there's both. We have a good mix of kids this summer. I have lots of working families, and I have lots of families who their child comes as almost a form of respite for them, and then I have some families who, kind of mix it up. Their kids come 2 days a week, and then they stay home with their kids 3 days a week. So I can't pinpoint that it's all people who aren't working and they just send their kids.
Yeah, no,
definitely not.
But there's a lot of variety in living
A
situations.
lot of variety, a lot.
So for some, they're just busy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But others, they're distracted by something.
Right.
Sure.
And perhaps my own contribution would be a lot of people look at family as the ones you don't have to invest in, that are just there for you. But in actuality, the most vital relationships, marriages, children, require regular investment and attention in order to maintain good things. And a lot of people come to those relationships with false assumptions.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great thing for y'all to encourage. Thank you. I see no comments. We have gotten no comments, no community engagement online. I've noted this before, though, on leading worship. People generally don't comment, even if they're there. Let's end our time here talking about support. And we've talked about a lot of partnerships that you guys have developed. We've talked about Tri-County Tech. We've talked about AmeriCorps, Workforce. There are a number of other local individuals and entities. You talked about the lumberyard
Right.
supporting you guys. Let's just take some time thinking on who have been your biggest cheerleaders, biggest supporters. Where have you seen just amazing support from community persons and groups?
Well, I need to start with the board, of course, because long before I was here and even before Leonard, the board has been working diligently to make the club as good as it can be. And there are some people on the board who have been on the board for 20 years or more. And so those are some people with vision, Mike Dye and Pam Stagner, John Woolman, Carissa Pierce. There are a lot of people and others. But the board, I think, needs to be mentioned. Of course, Cherokee Nation has been huge for us. The United Way in Bartlesville, we are a United Way organization, and they're super supportive of us. Of course, Grand Lake is partnered in with us. The Cressup Family Foundation, which had roots in Nowata at one point, has been very fundamental in our backpack program, which provides weekend meals to kids across the county. Who am I leaving out?
I would say Nowata can. They come in with the teens and do like the drunk goggles and all that stuff, and how the drunk driving and all that. I would say the elementary school for letting us house in the
Absolutely.
elementary
Yeah,
school.
Nowata Public Schools has been super gracious to us, and we are using their facilities and all of their facilities this summer, and they've been really great. I can't hardly think, I mean, the churches in town, individuals, the people who have really dug deep in their pockets and to help support this new building. There are a lot of families in Nowata who have given to that cause, and so we literally couldn't do it without them. Tri-County only put in $1 million. Nowata had to raise the rest, and we've done that. And so,
And what was the rest?
$4.2 million total.
So we raised $4.2 million.
We raised over $3 million. Tri-County put in.
Okay, so
Yeah.
even so,
Yeah, that's
more
huge.
than $3 million.
Yeah,
in
foundations
Nowata,
included,
Oklahoma.
not just individuals, but individuals, groups, foundations. The board, the capital campaign led by John Woolman really found that funding, and it's going to change the look of Nowata in some ways, I think.
Yeah, and it bears repeating that the quality of people you have involved in something is still more important than the quality of the building. But even so, the building is
Oh gosh,
the house for the people,
Yeah.
and to have those resources, to have those institutional connections with Tri-County Tech and all these others, it's a huge opportunity. It's
Yeah.
a huge opportunity, and I've told you, Brynn, privately, but I'll say it here. People with resources see the quality of the people at the helm. And a lot of times, yes, they're giving to the mission statement, yes, they're giving to, but generally people are not going to give that kind of money, that kind of support to an organization that is not under the right leadership. So people see that in both you guys, I'm sure, and I've been here 6 years. Boys and Girls Club had support when I was here. There was decent leadership here then, but over time, as the community has gotten to watch you guys, the support and the good feelings have only grown. Yeah. And I think it's to the benefit of all these organizations you lifted up. It's not like y'all are sucking the life out of them. Rather, their cooperation with you guys benefits them as well. Yeah. And so a rising tide floats all ships, and that's what we're seeing happening in Nowata right now. Yeah. Finally, what can the community of Nowata as a whole do to support Boys and Girls Club? We're already doing a lot, it sounds like, but is there anything needed?
I think going forward, mentors will be really important this year, particularly if we do happen to lose that summer youth employment program through Cherokee Nation. Then we will need some volunteers. We will really need that, because the more people that we have, the more attention the kids get, and the better they do. Time is so important. Any amount of time that you can give to the club. Money is always important. We have a new Cash App, and so that's on our website. You can donate cash just through Cash App. You can do a monthly donation, just a one-time donation.
Tell us the web address of your website.
It is www.bgcofnowata.org.
bgcofnowata.org.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so there's an option to donate on the website.
Yes.
Okay. And since we're on Facebook, we should acknowledge y'all have a Facebook
We
page.
do, and it's fun to follow. We try to really put pictures on there all the time for the parents and also for the community to see what, the parents want to see what their kids are doing, and the community likes to know too that we're doing fun things.
Yeah.
So
Leonard, other stuff that the community can do to support.
I would say if you have a talent, like if you play any kind of instruments, we would love to have you come to either one of the sites and teach the kids. And if you have arts and crafts projects, come out and let the kids see what you got. And we would love for you to come to the clubs. And
one of the things that we're really going to push this year is Career Launch, which is giving the teens an opportunity to have different speakers come in and talk about their job, regardless of what their job is. This is what I do, this is why I do it, this is the good and the bad of it, and this is how I got to the place that I am. It just gives the kids, one of the main goals for me is to level the playing field. There are kids with, like my kids, and there are kids without, like lots of kids. And so when you have a new facility and when you can encourage them and point them in the right direction and bring people in and show them that they have opportunities and they have, that there are things out there for them, then I think it's beneficial to all the kids. And so anybody that would want to come in and, give a little speech or a little spiel on what they do, that's something that we could really use.
Yeah, because kids don't magically know the
they
possibilities
don't. They
of the
have no
world.
idea. Yeah.
And they hear about the American dream. More often than not, they're told that it's bunk.
Right.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, they have worked hard. They've followed good steps, and they're in a good place now. But that's not what these individual kids have necessarily seen growing up, or they've only seen it be done in one or two ways. Yeah. And so it's just really good. The only way to see how big the world is to meet other people.
Yeah.
So.
In fact, the teens today are at Tri-County Tech doing a tour of the culinary department, and then they get to do some cooking while they're there. And I have a young lady working for me right now who did that field trip when she was in 5th grade with the club. And she now is a student at Tri-County Tech in the culinary department, and she wants to be a chef. So I think that's the great partnership between those two, and just by bringing people in, it gives kids a spark, and that's what we hope, that they'll find what they love and come back to Nowata and do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great note to end on. So the specific role of the church is we can offer facilities, we can offer money donations, but I firmly believe that the most powerful thing anyone can do in life is pray. So I'd like to just offer a blessing of prayer, and then we'll end this interview, and you guys will go back to doing good work. So let's pray. Okay. Father, I want to thank you for Leonard and Brynn, who are both just on a daily basis pouring themselves out for these children and youth and teens. Lord, nothing that's worth doing in life is easy, and we know that there are challenges that come with this, but we thank you that both of them are resilient and passionate about the work that they're doing, that you've seen fit to give them a good team, good community partners, good institutional partners. Lord, not everybody is so blessed who are working to do good things. Lord, we lift up our town to you, and it's always tempting to believe that we are in a uniquely bad situation, but Lord, we live in a very blessed place, and help us to be ever mindful of our many blessings, and help us to be mindful that the times that matter are not just the small quality times, but it's really every day. It's the mundane, normal, boring times. Help us to be available to our children, available to our neighbors, our neighborhoods. Help us to be more positive and encouraged about what's happening in Nowata, and help people increasingly step out to be a part of that. Lord, we ask your blessing upon the Nowata Boys and Girls Club, its board, its individual workers, especially its children and youth. And Lord, bless our town as you see fit. We know that you alone are good and perfect, but we desire to glorify you in our connection to one another. Bless our churches as they continue to try and support local worthy causes. And Lord, glorify yourself in our little town here. We ask these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thanks for joining us. We're going to post a final version of this later today, and I think I want to clip up some parts of this. I think it's been really good, so we'll just put out little 3 to 4 minute segments. But support Boys and Girls Club, support your church. If you don't have one, I'll see you Sunday. Come out here 11 o'clock. But let's end for now. God bless you. Bye.